Welcome back once again, ladies and gentlemen, here to the Star Ladder Invitational live from the Kiev Olympic Arena. We are going live now with our second map between Virtus.pro and Worst Players Simple's new team. My name is Blue. Joining me here is Tom.
Yeah, well, Cash. What can we really say about that? We're going to be going into, well, of course, the second map. I actually spoke briefly with obviously the manager of VP, and he was saying the fact that he realized that Worst Players probably picked it because of a couple of days ago where we actually saw G2 destroy VP on that map. I think it was like 16-4, 16-5, something ridiculous, but the caliber of player is just not the same. I feel like to go as far as to say, yeah, okay, G2, a team that are really informed, playing incredibly well, could do exactly the same. Yeah, I'm not so sure. But anyway, we are going to be going in. I think this is the knife round?
Knife round, yeah.
So obviously we can just talk over that. But yeah, both teams, well, talking about Cash just in general, I feel like it has become more of a T-side showcase. But most teams still pick the CT side to start. That just seems to be the common denominator.
Yeah, I mean, generally the CT side start is going to be a little bit easier because some teams can bring a much more varied playbook in terms of what they want to do in the CT side. North America, it's a little bit different, as most teams just play the default. But the European teams obviously have been able to innovate a little bit more, and we do see things getting a bit more advanced. The executes, every team has their own little bit of flair to it, and I imagine we'll see that here coming into this match. Maybe not for the Worst Players, since things are still fairly new for these guys, and they've been struggling quite a bit, so I don't think they really would have gotten to the point where they sort of have their own strat book when it comes to these individual maps. But for Virtus.pro, definitely, regardless, though, we're not going to see that from them at the beginning because they're going to be starting off on the CT side.
Yeah, and straight away we can actually see Simple being dropped to P250, so he's going to be sort of the mini raid boss. I wouldn't say that's the Tech 9 armor sort of strategy as of yet. We're going to see some nades onto Philin, someone who really needs to step up in this game because he was completely absent for the first half and pretty much the same on the second half. Well, all of them were. I think it was a 6-0 second half, but we are going to be seeing a little bit of aggression coming out actually towards middle for the CT side, but in the meantime, straight away, the A presence is coming in. It looks like they could get quite an easy push here, although Bialy is holding the cross.
Virtus.pro just going to play the retake. Obviously, most teams are going to go for A right at the beginning of the pistol round, so instead of just risking it in the duels early on, they're going to sit back and try to get some better angles to start off with, and we can already see that jumping in at Snacks. Now, interesting, though, is it's Simple. He has his own flank opened up for this flank that's been boosted over, and he's going to be able to push in, shuts this down nicely. There we go, keeping things alive, and now the rest of the CTs, they're going to try to push their way back into this site, moving in. Ooh. Pasha finds a first kill. Neo finds a second pickup. Taz finding a third, but Fix does respond with 2 of his own. Now down to a 2-on-2, but heavy damage done to both of the remaining Ts at this point. Philin down to 10 and Fix at 22, just trying to hold Philin inside of the site, and Taz leaping back over into the quad, shuts down one of them. We do see Philin responding with one of his own pickups, so now down to the 1-on-1. Taz, though, going inside of A main, finds that final kill, but he's out of time. He's not going to be able to defuse the bomb. No kit in hand. And the Worst Players, they managed to hold that off for long enough to be able to pick up the pistol.
Well, mentioning the fact that you said, well, clearly it looked like they were going for some sort of retake strategy onto the A site. They didn't purchase a kit at all. I wonder if that was some sort of a misbuy coming in because it just seemed questionable to go for such a loose hold of the A site and then not purchase a kit at all. So that when that retake did eventually come in, it didn't matter because the T's had already managed to win. And straight off the bat, we can see 5 rifles coming in for the T side. So they are not mucking about at all. Not going to be trying to farm any cash. But that leaves a huge amount of risk and we can already see the force coming in for the CT side.
And Pasha going to push himself up with a shotgun, hiding behind the boxes to catch any lurkers back over by the long hauls that want to investigate the B-bomb site. Not going to be finding anybody, but we also saw Snacks getting himself into an early position inside of A main here, watching to see if he can catch Arch or anyone else that may move inside of this area. Not catching them as of yet, so now being a little bit more cautious of them being spotted out. Just going to smoke off that little shed and fall back further onto the site to be ready for a hit.
I think he actually bought a UMP for Taz as well, so they have actually pretty much spread the cash over. He's got a lot of that money onto his shoulders. I know he did get a couple of kills, but I don't think he had enough to buy that altogether, so it does look like he has been dropped. There are only 2 players with armor at the moment, and it just looks like at the moment the T's are just feeling out the match, taking presence across the middle, using their nades, and Fix is going to find that initial entry kill. They look like, well, the bomb's still down, but it does look like an A split is slowly building up together, but they can go wherever they want at this stage.
Also, Virtus.pro really not having a very good idea as to where this hit's going to be coming from. Taz catching himself a duel outside of Z, but losing to Simple since he's got that rifle at long range. An easy duel for him to take and win. And with that said, now the Worst Players, they basically have their pick of the litter. 3 players left alive for Virtus.pro, and they're extremely spread out. Neo's going to be stuck outside of CT main. We still have Pasha pushed up to the sunroom. And Snacks back over here inside of MPK spot, or actually no, apologies, inside of the Squeaky room. Going to try to surprise, doesn't end up working out very well. And that just leaves Pasha very disconnected from everything else going on the map right now.
Well, he was just sort of praying that the B hit was going to come in, but they actually just took over middle, split onto A. The strategy seemed to be built up just very slowly over time, but it seemed clear very early on that they were actually looking towards that A site. But the real problem for me was they seemed to invest so much into Taz, and he ended up just taking a duel that was very, very difficult for him to actually win. As you mentioned, like the rifle in that situation, it was relatively long range, should win every time, and it did. And, well, unfortunately, that means that nothing really came in this round. Pasha just going to try and either, well, get an exit frag or save that mag into the next round, but they're going to have next to nothing. And, well, worst players, they're getting off to a nice start.
So with the worst players off to the good edge there, they've managed to successfully make their way through the second round, and with basically no losses coming into it either. They're not losing a single player, so all 5 of those rifles make it through. And assuming we don't see any of them get dropped in the next round either, since that'll be the full save round coming up from Virtus.pro, that's going to be a huge economical boost that they get right at the beginning of the match there. They don't have to invest into any of those rifles on the first gun round. They save all of them. Maybe we can expect like 1 or 2 of them to get dropped here on this round, but more than likely they should be safe to keep most of them in arms.
Yeah, cash money. That's all we can really say at this point. We are going to see a little bit of armor brought up onto Pasha, so he is going to try and make something of this round. If he gets a kill, of course, he's back onto level pegging with everyone else on his team. But wonder if they will actually just, well, purchase up the basic rifles like they did previously or go for something a little bit more in a further round. But it is going to be aggression coming out at the moment. It looks like they're about to boost a couple of players into middle, try and find a little bit of early peaks. In fact, I think 4 players currently over towards the vents at the moment. Snacks going to be the Lone Ranger, just looking around to try and find out information towards middle and towards A, but I don't really think he's going to find anything, and they're just clearing angles with these Molotovs, making things nice and easy for them going into this round. And I feel like, well, the stack, it hasn't really paid off, and they were just basing themselves around that mag. So, yeah, should be another easy round. Possibly want to keep that into the next round. I'm not really sure. Really, a frag would be much more beneficial.
It's always the risk. I think the guys with the USPs will probably just line up for exits now that they've got full control. They're actually delaying the plan a little bit there, but finally goes onto the ground. A couple of guys looking like they have themselves out over there towards Highway, but not going to be going so well. Simple grabs the 1-tap there onto Snacks from long range, taking him down. Looking for more. Bialy does get a good angle, but he's going to be mollied outside of his safe spot, and he cannot connect anything else. So with him going down, that's basically killed it all. Neo looking for those exits once again back over here by the truck angle, maybe able to catch something, but in terms of Pasha, he wants to stay safe and keep that gun in play for the first gun round, as he could still be very useful inside of an area like Checkers, where things are going to be very close up.
Well, especially on someone like Pasha, he's been sort of a talisman of the Mag 7, always used to play it on cobblestone towards the plat area very up close, so I feel like for most people, saving this wouldn't be the best idea. For Pasha, I don't think it's the worst in the world. However, if he drops down here, he could be dead very quickly for the time runs out. And you could just see from Simple's reaction. But they do actually keep, I think they kept all 5 rifles again. So they have made that money. They didn't need the SMGs to do it. So again, 5 players surviving. We saw actually 3 surviving from the CT side, which didn't really benefit them at all because 2 of them had nothing. But anyway, we're going to be coming in with the buy. It will be the mag onto Pasha. He's got himself the kit as well. Quite a lot of nades, but the remaining players, they are lacking quite heavily in utility at the moment. No real nades in play, just a few flashes, and it does look like the quick B hit is about to be coming in. Pasha, the player with all the nades, going to be staying up close with Tad's event, trying to hold off this push, but here goes Villain. Going to find that entry kill. Pasha is going to be down to him. He finds 1, he finds 2, he finds the 3rd on, well, Neo finds the 3rd. He's looking for more. That mag has already done enough damage. He will get taken down, but Snacks finds another in the meantime. An absolutely perfect play from Pasha. Holds off the play just long enough, and now it's down to the man himself. Then, well, this is basically Simple squad, and we'll see whether or not he can carry it through this 4th round.
He's very quickly running out of time, though, as Bialy's coming out on that flank back over from middle. So smokes off the main. He needs to start making progress immediately, though, despite the spray coming through from Neo. He's actually going to go directly into the smoke, looking to take on Neo now that he's spotted him there. Finds that first kill, but that is a nice response coming out from Snacks.
That was a Snacks level play. You don't do that to Snacks. He knows it's coming. He took him down in the end, and well, the first buy round, we saw this previously. The buy rounds did not go the way of worst players, and the first one has already gone the way of Virtus.pro. However, we now see an AWP coming in on to both sides. Pasha picking up one, obviously making a nice bit of money with that mag, and of course, Simple picking up the other on the opposing side.
And with the worst players now lining up for their hit, it's going to be Simple going on the early boost, looking for the shot, but all he gets is some lead to the face along with that Molotov. Down at 46 HP now because of that decision. And as well, the rest of his team not going to be able to find anything else early on to compensate for that one. So a good opening gambit from Virtus.pro, or apologies, a bad opening gambit from Simple does not pay off whatsoever. And now he's going to be extremely low, and they've also got Taz pushed up extremely aggressively back to the bottom of mid to watch out and make sure that this doesn't get repeated by anyone else on the team.
Well, this is sort of a similar situation as we saw into Mirage. Clearly, Virtus.pro want to take over middle as much as possible. They currently have 2 players, one up close, one holding further back. That is Snacks. Obviously, does leave the A side a little bit open, but the quick rotation from middle does allow for this to be possible. But it does look like the build-up is going to be going towards this A side once more. We're going to be seeing the forklift player having an awful lot to do, but it will be Bialy getting smoked out. Going to be trying to rotate away. Still a minute left on the clock, and Snacks is going to find the entry kill. Or not the entry kill, the initial kill onto this round. We're going to be seeing the push coming in from Arch now. He needs to try and trade one back. Bialy, the timing not quite going to pay off, and Bialy going to push through and find a second. This is nice work coming out from Virtus.pro, looking for a third, and there we go. Another one for Bialy. Snacks does get traded, but this just looks like it's falling apart. But Philin, the man who was very absent in the last game, does manage to find himself a kill, and now it is a 3 versus 2. The retake going to be coming in for Virtus.pro. They do have a couple of kits in play, a few nades left, only flashbangs, but Neo's position could be absolutely crucial. He finds one, and he's looking for Crush. This should be a nice, easy cleanup, and he does just that.
Neo with a nice flank stops any chance of the 2v3 clutch coming out from worst players there, and it will be a 2-round streak coming out from these guys. Many more to be gained. Now they get the double op set up for free here too, which like in the past couple of weeks, mainly for Luminosity, but we've seen this like across the board for a lot of other teams too, become sort of a theme now. We're seeing more and more of these on the CT sides, and we're seeing just how dominant it can be if you can keep it going consistently. So with that in play now, this is going to get very dangerous for the worst players, especially with them. I'll mention that in a sec. Especially with them going for the full AK buyout here. They're just going to be forcing up. Still not a bad decision when you consider the utility, but the more important thing is the fact that Neo has gone for the COD gun.
Yeah, I feel like, well, Matt will be very happy that that has come out, being from the Call of Duty scene, but let's see what he can actually make of this one. I'm not too sure of the decision, but I suppose the spray's not bad. Obviously, the accuracy scoped in. It's not a particularly bad weapon. It's just not one that is seen too often within the scene, especially when the AKs can just tear your head off in one bullet. But let's see what's going to happen here. It's going to be the push coming in onto the site. The quad player going to get taken down. It will be a trade, but nevertheless, this leaves the site pretty much open for the T-Snap plant. And again, it's going to be a retake scenario coming in for Virtus.pro.
Not a whole lot of defenses on the site, so this could still be very calculated from Virtus.pro, but they need to get themselves in position for the retake ASAP. And the problem is that Neo, he's taking his time with that gun, moving himself around. He wants to make sure he can impact with it since it's so expensive. In all honesty, this is more of like a tilt gun than anything. If you can find a kill with it, it's probably going to piss off the T's pretty heftily. But he's been smoked off. They know there's someone going to try to work their way in on the flank. This is going to be very tough for the CTs to find a way back in, and there's already Simple picking up the first kill. Taz moving his way in, looking for a pickup, backdoor by Forklift. Oh. Nicely done, and there's the flank coming in from Neo now. Picks up the kill, and with Pasha finding another kill, they are running out of time there, but there's Fix picking up the other 2 kills. They're out of time now. Neo, he's not even going to attempt this. Sitting back, he tries to take the duel. He succeeds in it, but now he's got to run for his life. 59 HP, should be safe, but the worst players, again, via timing, do manage to hold themselves off.
Fix completely saved them there. It looked like, again, the real problem there was they had 1 Molotov on Pasha, and that was about it for nades, a couple of flashbangs. So the retake, once that Molotov was gone, they had to just go for Angels, and we saw, well, 3 quick kills come in for them through the flank. We saw Pasha find one, and Taz, well, it almost looked like he got a double spray there, but it didn't come out. And now, well, both teams really skimping with the buy. Of course, the CT side have come out much worse for wear, but the T's, they're not in a great position themselves. So if Neo can do some initial damage, he is in a decent position here. All players are blind. He's just going to scope up around the corner. He finds one and almost finds the second, but the COD gun does not pay off in this scenario.
Only 1 kill being picked up there, and with the rest of his teammates down the dumps as far as their own buys are concerned. That was the really only big gun they had to work with here this time around. Now, Snacks has managed to push his way through the squeaky halls, and he's lined up with a flank. So if we see worst players shifting themselves over to an A hit, he could still be pretty impactful if nobody's checking for that. But it seems to be the case right now that most of the worst players are going to look for mid connection, and then they can push their way back over there through highway. Still going in for A, so Snacks could still be very useful, but with just a USP, and especially with the guys on worst players being given plenty of time to adjust for him, it's going to be very, very tough for now Virtus.pro to bounce this round back, and more than likely, it'll end up being a 5th for the T's.
Well, yeah, they've got so much time to play with at this point. They can just sort of make their way slowly over towards one of the sites. Of course, they've got to make sure they check all the angles. Snacks' position isn't bad, but he's got to hit an instant like double dink with the USP, which isn't ideal. It is possible for someone of his caliber, but whether or not he'll be able to do it is yet to be seen, and we're going to be waiting for this push, and already we see the middle aggression coming out. They're just slowly taking apart these sites. However, the time is starting to slowly tick. If they could drop the bomb, the closer it gets to the site. However, they have now decided towards B. Taz has managed to get himself a rifle, but instantly Crush ends his life, and now they should just swarm onto the site. Pasha has actually managed to retrieve the AUG and may be able to keep that into the next round. I'm not sure how much they will actually want to do that, whether it was a misbuy or whether Neo actually did favor the org. But yeah, at the moment, I'm not sure there's a huge amount they can do. Bialy with the Deeg, Snacks with nothing, so he may as well just run like a lamb to the slaughter. But again, it's going to be a 5th round now for worse players.
Snacks looking for something to pick up. Also will try to place himself in a good position to find at least one more frag here, but that was giving himself away, not catching anything else. And worse players have this round completely under their control. Will be a 5th round for these guys.
Pasha's position could actually work out here with that scope. If he could just find one. Of course, going for the headshot's actually going to end up falling as well. Nice shot from Fix. It was a nice effort, but no AUG going to be saved. I'm not sure how much they're going to mourn that loss, but the Virtus.pro, well, I don't know. They're going to be coming in with a buy? Yeah, well, they have enough. And they are a team that would normally go for something like this. I wouldn't be too surprised, especially actually Snacks managing to retrieve that Galil right at the end of the round. So they are going to go for it. It's going to be a bit of a lackluster buy. The nades, again, going to be lacking just a little bit, but it is slightly better than what they had previously. But again, the T's, if they win this round, they're going to be crushing that CT economy once more. And also, they have now got full utility on the board.
It's going to be quite risky, though, when you consider just how low they're going to be after this. Snacks the only player that will have money, and that's simply because he carries over this Galil from the previous round. They're buying out entirely here, and that could give worse players a very big edge on the T side. They're starting to build up their own economy once again here as well, but the same thing as we were talking about before, just going to start things up with the default. No reason to spread their wings too early here and try to go for an entry or two. Just hanging back. As far as the defenses are concerned on the A site, they did do the run boost to put Bialy up on top of the Shroud spot. And Taz hiding a little bit further back on the site itself, but beyond this, things are pretty default as far as Virtus.pro's own split.
Yeah, I feel like the T's, again, they're just waiting for any sort of aggression. I think they realize that the CT buy probably isn't going to be quite up to the standard they'd like it to be, and with the nades and such, it's not going to be that easy to slow down a push. We are going to see, though, an instant kill coming out from Neo, and now he has no real reason to peek. Just wants to take that initial kill. Archer's position isn't a bad one. He may be able to catch someone out, especially over towards middle, and actually, it's going to be simple finding the second kill of this round and trade it back to a 4 versus 4.
Still have Arch sitting behind the white box here, too, but now that he's lost his teammate, he's going to be a little bit more cautious about the way he approaches this one. Waiting for the A main squad to get themselves in position here too. And you also still have Fix to worry about, but they start to push their way back over here out towards the highway area. And Bialy does find his first kill here. Finds 2 actually from up on top of the shot spawn. And that's the bomb going down. Looking for the 3rd. He's going to be able to find it. Nicely played. Swapping over to the Deagle to look for the 4th. And he almost grabs it down to 31 HP. It'll be Snacks that moves in. Survives that encounter with 9 of his own HP, but he closes things out in the round and strikes back for Virtus.pro.
Well, the real problem there is that the main weakness of that position is coming from highway, and they instantly smoked it off just to make sure there was no way that Bialy was getting shut down from that position, and unfortunately that meant that he managed to get 2 kills and a 3rd when that player tried to push through the smoke. So Bialy shutting down that round, and actually, well, the T's, their economy hadn't built up that much. They're actually going to be in a real problematic situation here. A Tech 9, not the worst weapon in the world, but it's not going to be ideal at long range, and the UMP onto Fillon, again, he seems to be the one not doing too great so far. Definitely not doing as bad as he was on Mirage, but here we go. Bialy, lot to do. He's going to find 1, 2, looking for the 3rd. Going to be going with the pistol. He does just that, and this is getting completely shut down. The rotation going to come in. Snack's going to find one as well, and it's going to be all down to Simple in a 1 versus 5. And, well, he may be an amazing player, but I think this should be impossible for him. He's found himself 1, and that's all he's going to find.
Snacks shutting it down pretty quickly after that, so the worst players, although they did get themselves off to a good start here, they're now going to have to give a little bit more respect to the side of Virtus.pro with their cash flow running out here, down to about 2K. Only going to be upgrading some pistols at the most. And even that might be a bit of a stretch here now, as they do need to save up for the next round, and Virtus.pro right back onto the buy. We have another AUG coming in.
Yeah, it is intentional. There's no way he misbought that twice, so clearly deciding that he wants to play with a different scope weapon this time. It's not bad from the back of sight. I feel like if they do push into it, especially with these pistols, he should be able to find these kills very, very easily. However, I don't know if I particularly would favor the weapon, but each to their own. If it works, it works. And, well, so far they are in a 4 to 5 situation. Worst players starting off well, but again, they've started to slow down a little bit, and their economy has been wrecked. However, Simple will find himself a kill onto Snacks, so that is at least 1 for this round. And 3 players currently over towards B does leave Bialy very alone, although we've seen him do very well in this situation so far this game. Simple looking for a second one to try and open up the round a little bit more.
Fill in as well, hoping he can catch somebody getting a little bit over-aggressive there in the back B halls, but it definitely will not be the case. Pasha, the farthest he's going to move up here, is going to be to the boxes without smoke assistance. And that nade going over, I think it bounced up for whatever reason. I don't know how that happened, but apparently it did.
Rip nade.
Gravity works weird in this map. But Pasha's still in a good spot. That smoke that was not allowing him to see Arch. He should have caught that shot from Simple, but now he's got to be careful. Thankfully, though, one of them is going to walk directly into his line of fire there. That's Arch going down, looking for some more here, too, as the pot flash goes out. It doesn't connect, but he's still fragging, and now he gets the support from Taz back in checkers, too. They brought it all down to Simple once again, and he'll be eliminated by Neo. They're coming out with the scope gun.
Well, they did get a little bit unlucky there, I have to admit. Worst players pushing into a position where there were actually 3 players around, although it didn't actually need them. It was just Pasha just flashing himself back in. As you said, the flash didn't even work. He was still finding the frags. Of course, it was just pistols. They needed Simple to connect with that dig. It didn't happen, and now they're going to be coming back in with their buy. But Virtus.pro, again, they seem to be starting to get themselves together, taking a little bit of time to get into the map. And if they can start running away with the CT side, I feel like the T side will be very, very, very difficult. Well, for worse players when they switch over.
So Neo inside of the vents once again, waiting to see if he can catch a hit coming in from middle, but this is definitely not going to be the case in this round. It's extremely direct from the worst players. All 5 guys pushing their way out through the back of the B halls right now. Neo ready to respond on his own. They do also still have the lurk coming in from Fix back over by checkers, but beyond this, it's going to be a full hit. Nicely done by Philin. Was right in there with the entry onto Neo. Pasha does respond on his own, but they're going to be able to move in here and take control of the site. Taz is going to go down. Pasha still back in checkers, though, responding with his own pickups, but there comes Arch, just rolling his way right through, even spraying through the box. Finds the response kill on Pasha, leaving it just on Snacks and Bialy.
Well, and also here, it gets down to the point where, is this worth the retake? They're going to be going for it, of course. Now back to a 2 versus 2. We're going to be seeing Snacks finding another one, actually, and just cleans things up with the AWP. Great work from him, and I have to question sort of the positions there coming out. There was no real crossfire. It's just made things very, very easy for the CT side. They just managed to find individual jewels. The only thing I do have to really question in the round was, why would you play an AUG that close? That just seems really, really weird. I suppose it does have a similar spray to the AK going in, trying to find a couple of headshots, but just playing close with a weapon that has a scope, I don't know. It just seems a little bit odd to me, but nevertheless, they win the round. They pull off the retake, and the buy has got a little bit worse now for worse players with just 4 smokes to play with.
I mean, for worse players, it just didn't really seem like they really had enough time to line up their post-plant positions there, so unfortunately, they're immediately put back onto the hot seat as Virtus.pro go for their retake immediately after they get that bomb on the floor, so they just take cover at the nearest spot that's convenient for them, and that leaves them out in the open there, susceptible to those nice op shots coming out from one of the last players that's alive on Virtus.pro there, but this time, it's going to be nice from the side of worse players as both Simple and Fix find those 2 entries inside of A main. Should now prompt the take coming in at any moment, leaving basically just Taz to hold this back off.
Yeah, and the CT economy is not good in this scenario, and Simple, lovely shot to find another entry into the site. So this really is unfortunate now. Neo going to be the only one really remaining. He does have the presence of Pasha over towards the car, but it just looks like the T's have just slowed things right down. They've got so many entries here. It's only going to be mistakes that can cost them the round, but there we go. The bomb's going to get dropped. Neo finds another through the smoke, but it'll get traded nonetheless. And Pasha, well, the question is here, does he actually go for the save? Because I don't think their economy is going to be in a particularly decent scenario. They've got a couple of players who will be able to buy, possibly able to drop 1 gun, but dropping a couple, I'm not sure if it's really worth the risk, especially after they did just win.
He's not being given anything. He's got a decent amount of utility to try and find his way back into the site, but the problem is ultimately going to be without any intel or anything, because a lot of his teammates were killed really far back on the site at really long range, so they didn't really get a good grasp on post plants or anything by the time these guys got in. So you can definitely see Pasha holding himself back, will not be going for this retake, just trying to see if he can grab a player retreating instead of aiming. The timing, however, is not working out in his favor. Missed that guy, missed the second player, so will not be able to gain anything here. He will save the op, as it does not look like worse players are going hunting him down whatsoever. But now that'll keep things close still. It's 6-6.
Yeah, the only thing I am a little bit worried at the moment for worse players is their CT side on Mirage. That they didn't even get going. Like, they lost 6 rounds straight. There was nothing there. So if their CT side of this map, which is, well, less CT-sided, is anything like the previous map, then I feel like even if Virtus.pro get, well, just the 6 rounds they already have, it could be enough for them to just close this one out. But we will have to wait and see. Of course, this is the map pick of worse players, so there may be a little bit more there. They may have practiced this one slightly more than the other, but Snacks is going to be going aggressive up against those AKs. The double-up setup did come in. I said Pasha saving that does allow for them to go for this sort of setup, and as we mentioned, Pasha, he finds that initial kill into the round.
It's going to be him pushing himself out to the back B halls where he finds that pickup against Philin. Was the lurker closer to the B-bomb site? It did look like for a moment that worse players wanted to try and move themselves further towards that area to try and punish it, but decided against it, and now we're lined up inside of Squeaky and Amy and just go for a direct hit here. The guys from Virtus.pro, they are ready for it though, but the Fop Flashes initially are going to be great. Snacks stuck in the corner, not able to do anything. Same story for Bialy. He's taken out of the picture. Taz is boosted back up on top, but he too cannot pick up anything whatsoever. Fix decks him down from the bottom, and now leaves only Pasha and Neo from back on the B bomb side alive to try and do something about this. Neo, he's got a good flank going, but he's got to check behind that pillar as there's a player waiting for him right there.
No.
And it's going to be Simple that takes him down. Now again, Pasha, the last one alive in a 1v4. No way in hell he's pulling this off. Time to run.
This is going to be the reset as well. This is going to be the opportunity actually for worst players to take this 9-6, and really unlucky there actually from Neo, just spraying straight into the bar and doesn't actually manage to connect those shots. So that now leaves just Pasha alone. This really, I think, well, according to the economy, I think all they'll have is this AWP going into the next round. They are only going to be getting 1900 as the loss bonus, so a great opportunity now for worst players to actually get that sort of 9-6 scoreline that we do tend to see more often now on a map sort of Cash. But, well, clearly Mirage was a much stronger map for VP.
So worst players are going to be able to hold their own here. And Pasha specifically is able to keep that up in the picture. The problem being, however, is that that op is really not going to be all too effective when it's just the op being in play. Upgrade coming in. No, actually, they're just going to buy out here again. So the Eagle coming on to Neo, the 5-7, with a little bit of utility behind both Bialy and Taz, and Pasha had a little bit more than some of his teammates. So he's able to go for the shotgun full buy, but
yeah, he drops that AWP to Snacks and then goes for the shotgun himself. So he did make a great impact in the previous rounds and made himself a nice amount of cash when he was using that weapon, but really, he's been the one finding the entries with the AWP, so it is a little bit interesting that he's going to be the one dropping it down. However, a nice pop flash comes in. Arch gets dominated there, and they manage to find themselves an AK, so this buy has just slightly improved at least. However, the remaining Ts, they will realize now that this isn't a full buy. They can sort of slow things down, try and just work the picks, which should be something that they should be much better at realistically with these AKs. And, well, let's see if Pasha can pull something off again with this Mag 7.
This is going to be a big risk being taken here, too, just by Virtus.pro, and that now they're allowing Virtus.pro to attempt to take a very big lead. Another good shot coming out from Simple. He's been finding some pretty good connections here, both on the clutch situations and as far as the entries are concerned. Fix, too, another very crucial player in this matchup. Moves in, catches Taz back over closer to middle here, leaving only 3 up and running here for Virtus.pro. One of them, though, close encounter is going to be Bialy, but he, too, fails in his initial 1v1, leaving it just on Neo and Snacks. And Snacks, with the op, is still stuck on the B-bomb site, so he will not be able to really help with this A hit that's going to be coming in just a moment.
Well, yeah, the real problem is here as well is they've just forced into this, so they're just going to have about 2,400 in their bank going into the next round. And again, it may just be down to Snacks to try and save this, but they've sort of, it's going to be the final round, and their buy is going to be absolutely horrific by the sort of, well, the guess of things. But I'm not sure I really agree with that force. I think forcing around the AWP is possible, but really that AWP needed to do something. Like we saw the flashbang come in, find that initial kill with a 5-7, but the AWP just sort of anchored the site. They just tried to sit there. They tried to do a sort of 1-4 positioning, and unfortunately, like in the end, the T's just played a little bit slow, waited for the further aggression to come out from those pistols, and just slowly shut down the round.
Now Snack's going to try to hold his own up close against Fix here. Finds another connection, but he's being chased from the back. He's going to have to check his flank in a moment. Going up against Crush. Smoke comes out. He's going to hide inside of that. I think, well, they don't actually realize he's sitting there in that corner. So
well, that's where Snacks lives. He lives in the shadows, so I feel like he was always going to be safe in this scenario. But, well, he does manage to do a little bit of damage. It will actually, well, no, actually, they're going to be absolutely fine with the buy, so it doesn't really cost anything. And unfortunately, it now means the buy is, if anything, about the same as last time, to be honest. They've got that mag. They've got some pistols, a few SMGs. If they can find an initial entry kill, there's something possible here. But I think the T side should know, actually, that there really isn't going to be much coming into this round. They're going to go for the running boost again, and they're going to pull it off once more. And it's just going to be an SMG up here this time. And the thing is, with that spot, it's normally a bit of a one-trick pony. You sort of have to think, this round, instantly, they'll probably just check straight up. And with the AKs, 1 bullet to the head, he's out of the round, and that spot's completely wasted.
So to start this one off, the worst players hiding back for the most part, but Neo gets a nice peek moving inside of the mid garage there, takes down Crush. Now trying to fall back inside of the vents, will succeed in doing so. The worst player is not too keen on moving back out to try and find that trade, as they don't have to worry about it just as of yet. But at the same time, Snacks catches another frag against Arch. So things are not starting off very well because of this passive play from the worst players. Finally, it's come back to bite them. As soon as they catch them here, Virtus.pro are doing a great job at sort of taking advantage of that and shutting down these guys, which are staying in pretty stable positions.
Well, it looks like they are trying to set up also some positions now where they can just sort of refrag. They don't need to always get the entry kills anymore, and they've got these SMGs. It's still not the ideal position because obviously the AKs are still on the opposing side. Simple actually switching out his AWP, but this time Pasha is going to peek out. There was no opportunity for a trade there from Neo, and of course, long range. I think he only had a pistol, so there really wasn't much he could do in that scenario, and straight away we see the frags going back in the way of the T side. That nade could actually do a nice amount of damage. Is going to drop it a little bit down, but Fix still in a decent position. However, if he peeks here, Snacks could entry into this site. And of course, in a 3 versus 3, things could be relatively difficult, but in a 3 versus 2, it'd be much more probable for the CT side. Snacks going to be peeking out. He will find one. He found himself an AK, and here we go. Bialy going to find another, and now it's going to be an AK and an AWP versus Fix, someone who has been doing relatively well so far. He's going to go for one, but not going to find it. Perfect tray frag position from Snacks, and he finds the final kill to make it 8-7.
10-second defuse, but obviously we will still have plenty of time left on the clock for Snacks to grab it, so you are right. 7-8 is going to be the half, but in the favor of the worst players, brawling pretty nicely here, and with Virtus.pro taking a lot of risks on their economy, unfortunately, bringing them into a couple free rounds with the guys on the worst players here with all these force binds and whatnot that we saw coming out throughout their CT side. So managed to destabilize things quite nicely. The A hits coming in were very strong, and this combined with the power of Simple and Fix led to a much more successful half here on the T side for the worst players that we saw back over on Mirage.
Well, I think there was still a couple of rounds on Mirage where he was finding entry kills, but it was just not frequent enough, and it was way too late. It was just right near the end, and it was like, okay, well, he's done it now, but we've still lost 10-5, and then the dominating T half came in. And that's the thing I'm sort of worried about here, because obviously, as a relatively new team, sometimes your CT setups are just not going to be there. You may not have players playing in their favorite positions. You may not have all the right strategies or the team play even just to sort of pull things off. So obviously, this is their map pick. You hope that they have practiced it at least a bit, but this is going to be an 8-7. And, well, I feel like surely Virtus.pro is just going to pull this through on the T side.
I feel like the other issue here, too, is, I mean, you look at the rest of the team from the side of worst players, and it's like a really top-heavy performance. 15 and 16 frags coming out respectively for Fix and Simple, and then the rest of the guys are, next guy down is at like 7, and then it's 4 for the other two. So the problem with that ultimately is that, like, especially if you put them both on the same site, as soon as those two players are gone, the overall effectiveness of your team and their ability to like retake sites and whatnot goes down like tenfold.
Well, we saw that on the B side in the pistol round actually when Philem was just sort of waiting there, and they just found him instantly, took him down, and that was pretty much the round already going to VP. So if they do that again, if they work out the position of those players, like of course, the other thing as well is as an entry fragger, Fix seems to be very good. I'm not sure how good he's actually in the passive positions. Like we saw him in clutch situations, and he just got traded out in most of the positions there. So whether or not he'll actually work well on the CT side, I'm not so sure. But we will be going into the next round. We're going to see Arch actually picking up a Molotov, so possibly going for some sort of retake scenario again with Philem on the kit. And it is going to be just Bialy with a little bit of utility and a P250 to start things off.
I think as a Virtus.pro, early mid-control is going to be the name of the game, but there is someone here to contest it from the side of worst players, and we have Crush here. He's got a little bit of a smoke to peek through. Spots a player getting aggressive against him, but 58 HP, and there's a lot of presence coming in for Virtus.pro back close to Z, so he does not want to stick around to contest that, falling back way inside of the CT spawn courtyard, but they're still going to be pushing through. They want to try to cause a divide here so that they can push the bomb in through the vents. Ooh. There's a nice pop-out from Crush. Fix finding another one, then Crush also re-peeks, takes down Taz. The only kill that we saw Virtus.pro picking up there was Taz taking down Arch, so it leaves it all in the hands of Snacks. Now that Simple's found another pick up, and Snacks, such odds against him now. Simple's going to find the final frag, and the pistol round goes into the control of the CT's worst players. Will keep their lead here at the beginning of the second half.
That was a huge risk running through Z. The main reason you don't normally do that is because literally the players could just swarm back to where they were before and just catch you in a crossfire. And obviously you can go out sort of like the Virtus.pro style of guns blazing, just shooting in all directions. Like, oh, if you're trapped in a corner, that means you can shoot everywhere. It didn't work out. They got crushed, to use the pun. And unfortunately, that does mean they're now going to be back to pistols in this round, up against 3 rifles, actually. Well, 4 if you include the scout. And there is that scout to find the initial kill in the round.
Did he just get that through the box? Or was that a boost?
It might have been a boost because it didn't come up that it was through something, although sometimes that does happen where it's seemingly through something and then it's not.
Yeah, because I didn't see the boost. I'll see it when we see the kill feed again in a second if it updates us, but that almost looked like it was through the box for a second and I just missed it. Anyway, Arch finding another pickup there against Snacks. We will start to see the worst players converging over to that A-bomb site to try and defend things here. Fix finding another good pickup. A little bit of a muscle reaction there too, just thinking he spots the player back down over towards Highway, but then he's going to drop the bomb against Neo, leaving just Taz alive here. Villain's going to jump out, though, and find the final kill. Easy cleanup coming in for the guys on worst players.
And this is where I, actually start to worry a little bit for VP, because something they do seem to do is not wait for their 4-buys all of the time and just go for the forces. So I'm hoping they will calm things down a little bit here and just realize, okay, we are the better team in this scenario. We should be dominating. Obviously, you look at any of the odds for this game, they're absolutely ridiculously in favor of Virtus.pro, and then they can just sort of grind their way back. Something that in history they've been very, very good at. As of recently, maybe not so much, but we'll see. Obviously, this time they are just going to go for a deagle onto Bialy. I think he got a couple of kills along the way, so not going to be much in this round. Just going to be a straight-up rush and no nades at all. So I feel like this is going to be very, very difficult and possibly just going to run somewhere and try and take a couple of frags.
So there we go. Nice reaction from Arch there as he catches Snacks, getting aggressive back over towards middle, taking him down nicely. And we see Crush also killing the Lurker closer to the B-bomb site. Neo gets eliminated. And the final 3, they had to move back to retrieve the bomb, but now they need to move back just to rethink their strat here, because 3-on-5 with virtually 0 damage done to anybody on the set worst players is going to be very hard to make any sort of impact at all, let alone get control of a bomb site. They're favoring the event hit now and making the decision very quickly too. So still might be able to take advantage of this, since it will be a 3-on-2 take attempt, but Pistol's being downgraded.
Ooh.
Nice shot coming up from Bialy though. One digs onto Crush, and now they only have the site player, but they need to take quick control because those rotations are going to be moving in quickly. Villain able to hold against one, looking for the second pickup, flicks away a little bit too quickly, but then uses his pistol. Bialy's going to be able to respond on his own. He finds another one, responding in his CT main, has us in a 1v2. He's definitely not going to be able to plant the bomb safely, but able to try and take down the player that's going for the drop. Not going to finish him off, and unfortunately leaves himself out in the open for too long. So Arch is going to be able to finish things off finally there after the chaos ends. It'll need 11th round for the worst players.
700 well spent there for Bialy. Like, taking down 3 players, doing a nice amount of damage, of course, keeping that CT economy honest. And actually, those 3 kills just in general, they've brought the economy actually quite low now. So this is a great opportunity now for Virtus.pro. They're coming in with their 4-buy. Nice amount of nades. Of course, Bialy, he's pretty much paid for that weapon very, very easily. So here we go. We're going to be seeing the first buy round, the proper buy round coming in for VP, and see whether or not they can actually make anything of this round.
Taking it slow, though, from the side of Virtus.pro, since they are working at a disadvantage. Things not proving so easily as they would have hoped now coming onto this map, but heavy boost play now coming in for Taz, along with another teammate there as they move themselves over towards it. There's a lot of defense focus back over here, too. The vent peak coming out from Arch. He's going to find the first kill, finds a second one. Crush peeking out for the white box, and it's a disaster as they all just get destroyed. Neo's the last one alive inside of A main, but what hope can he have? Lost bomb control. It's still sitting back over by Boost, and there's still 5 players alive from the CT end.
Just have to mention the fact that there is a very, very simple Molotov that you can throw into the vents just to force a player out. And they did have the nades to do it. That wasn't something that was really a problem for them. So if you're taking mid control, just throw that Molotov in there and force him out of position, because that literally Arch alone there found 3 kills from the vent, then pushed in and found the 4th. If they move him out, there's only 1 player there. Much easier mid take. Huge risk that could have been averted by 1 simple grenade.
So things are not starting off very good at all here on this T side for Virtus.pro, and their lead continues to dwindle away in the favor of worst players. They sit only 4 rounds away from taking control of the second map and sending us over to number 3 on Cobblestone here.
Yeah. Cobblestone has not been a good map recently for Virtus.pro either, and Simple, someone, well, if you used to watch in the flip side days, he used to be able to win that map on his own. He's so good on that map, so I'm actually a little bit worried now for Virtus.pro, and it would be insane to see them lose even a map. Like, this is just ridiculous play coming out from worst players. Some individuals really stepping up, and, well, Arch in that round showing why, well, we were worried about those players lower down the board. He just gets a quad kill. But here we go. It's just going to be the straight-up rush coming in over towards the A site. Simple finds 1, Arch finding a couple, and, well, the main aim here was to try and get the bomb down. I don't think that is going to be happening unless we can see some ridiculous pistol play come out once more, and this time it's Taz with the Deke.
Taz should have got that drop down, but it's all about finding the actual position of Arch now. Not going to find him getting aggressive enough as of yet. As that smoke fades away, he may be able to catch him sneaking out from the corner here behind the forklift. He's boosted himself up, and as they move in, should be able to get at least 1 kill, but can't even find that, unfortunately, despite having 2 players with their backs turned. So it'll be another flawless round from the worst players, not losing a single one along the way. We now have 2 guys over $10,000 post-buy. That's Simple and Arch. Simple is going to go a little bit below it. I don't think he buys another grenade right before the round begins. But for the rest of these guys, they're still sitting pretty. It'll be another full buy round coming up from Virtus.pro, but they themselves are in a very rough position.
Yeah, this is the moment where they really need to try and make an impact on this round. Of course, the loss bonus is built up, but I feel like if they do lose this round, it may just be force buy after force buy from now on. I feel like that would just be the sort of tilt factor where they get worst players close to match point, and they just sort of keep buying again and again and again. However, this is a round in itself. This time they have switched up the middle presence. No one invent this time, but actually playing up close, and two further back, one towards sandbags and one towards the highway. So they are playing very middle aggressive at the moment, the CT side, just trying to make something of this. But here we go, Simple going to be holding over towards the A site, alone as well. We see Philin, a player who in the first map didn't really make much of an impact, but he did seem to be ducking and weaving earlier when we saw him on that B site, so possibly a site he's much more willing to play. And it does look like they're much more practiced on the CT side of this map, just individually, especially when you can see players just finding the angles that they need to be found. But again, slow play coming out from Virtus.pro, making their way over towards the A site, and straight away we're going to see Simple making the push. The rotation going to come in quickly, but Simple, he's doing all the damage at this point. Not going to find the third kill as Taz does manage to trade, but Fix is there and waiting. Bialy going to take down one. Actually, Arch still in the corner here. May be able to completely ruin this push, although he's going to make a lot of noise. Bialy finds one more, brings this back into a 2v2, and now it's actually going to be a retake scenario as worst players make some big mistakes.
And with Bialy picking up that kill and a crush, it all falls to Arch, who, I mean, to be honest, we saw Arch peeking out like 3 or 4 seconds earlier from a sandbag position here on mid. He could have just completely shut down Bialy and prevented this from even happening, prevented this from getting this drastic. And now Arch is going to move in, stunned there, and Taz is going to be able to find the headshot to take him down. Virtus.pro, nicely done on finding these kills very slowly but surely, working their way onto his site, and finally picking up another round.
Well, huge plays coming out from Bialy.
Yeah, after like 5 or 6 straight there coming out from worst players, there is another one up on the board for VP.
Well, it looks like Bialy really did take that round into his own. As you said, Arch could have shut that down very, very early on. Just he got smoked out and just decided to sit in the corner. And, well, considering they had 2 initial kills coming out from Simple while the push came in onto the A side, the fact that they then took the A site is a little bit worrying. And again, we're going to see Fix. He's going to be going down first of all, not having the same CT side as he did on the T. It has been other players making the big plays, but again, it's going to be the initial kill going to the T side, and now it's going to be down to this man here, possibly to try and find another kill, though. Arch will find one. This time, Pasha going to be taken down. Orb coming out from Snacks. He'll find one himself. Neo now going to be pushing in, looking for the kill, missing the spray, and actually Arch takes him down as well. So great plays coming out from him, looking for the third, but Taz will trade. Seems to be the anchor when these problems come down. He just finishes off the player who's doing all the damage, and now it's going to be a 3 versus 2. The CTs with no utility, and I feel like this retake is just going to be nigh on impossible, especially with Bialy finding that kill.
Yep, Crush falling back now, and even needs to make sure that he doesn't get flanked out from Z. Focusing on the save at this point, despite the fact that the worst players do have a very generous amount of money still left over. Crush is sitting much, much lower than the rest of his teammates. So he's going to want to try and save that rifle so it doesn't upset the balance with the rest of his guys. And, of course, they can still afford 5 rifles going into the next round, assuming he is able to save. Virtus.pro, though, with their still fledgling economy on their own, really not going to be focused on moving out to hunt him down.
Well, especially the fact that they will want to get the AWP, I imagine, onto Simple. They want to have that little bit of extra economy so he can definitely get nades, Kevlar, everything along the line. But it will be Arch possibly going to drop that AWP just to make sure. No, actually, Simple going to buy it himself. So, well, not going to have everything he needed. Not going to have any nades, in fact. But we will see the buy coming in nonetheless. But this is the chance for VP. This is the big chance. They could actually crush that economy after worst players getting off to an amazing start to this half. A great start to the game itself. This is VP's chance to actually make an impact in this game. And again, they're going to be going for the middle presence. And this time, there is no aggression coming out from the CT side, completely switching up their tact.
Holding back now, playing things very cautiously. As they wait to see if worst players are going to do anything a little bit overzealous. A little bit over aggressive by peeking out. It's not the case, though. They're all holding back. They're all sitting in these default positions. They don't want to peek out. And in fact, they just basically handed mid over should Virtus.pro decide to move in and take control of it there. There's no one contesting it whatsoever. Arch may be able to jump up on top of the shed to try and challenge people towards highway, but in terms of like a vent push, there's going to be nothing standing in their way.
Well, this is always very risky when you're playing up against a high-level team, especially, well, someone like Virtus.pro, because if you allow them to execute, they could destroy you. So we'll see how this actually works out. Of course, they do have a couple of players now rotating in over towards Car. Arch again finding another kill, and Fix finds one, Arch finds another, and now it's down to just Neo and Snacks. Snacks with the AWP, they do have the opportunity to get the bomb down. He's got to try and hold off this position, but the Molotov going to be slowing down that plant just a little bit. And there we go. It's now going to be a 4 versus 2 retake. A lot of nades onto Villain, a flash still on Arch, but these two players have been known in the past to make big plays. However, Simple entry and going to find one, and now Snacks, he's left all alone. Nothing he can do here, surely. Going to have to go for something insane, and Crush will find that kill. 4 players this time do survive, and the passive style of play really does work out for worse players.
Yep, and now with this too, they've just saved their own money buy, so they're going to be right back on the winning train here. 2 more left to be able to steal this map away from Virtus.pro. That will be the reset on the losing bonus for Virtus.pro, but they did manage to save a decent amount coming into that last one. So everybody except for Pasha is going to be in a decent spot to now go for a buy. But with 6.5k sitting on Snacks, it should be an easy... Again, we're wrong on that one. He is going to be able to go for the buy on his own, but still, there's enough left to drop a rifle for Pasha regardless, and Taz will just downgrade himself to a Tech 9.
So yeah, going to be a bit of a weakened buy. Of course, the CT economy, it's improved because they managed to win that round and have 4 players left alive. I still don't think it's safe as of yet. There's still a chance for Virtus.pro to take this one back, but they've clearly given up on that slow style of play, and they're rushing straight in. Pasha going to be finding one. Crush will refrag, and it is going to be now a 4 versus 4. However, the site has already gone the way of VP. A lot of nades, however, to retake. They could actually Molotov the whole site if it was necessary. So it's going to be difficult, to say the least, for Virtus.pro to hold on to this one. However, it will come down to the fact of whether or not they actually want to challenge this one. Of course, as said, the CT money isn't great itself. Pushing into the B site, it is a difficult site to retake, especially when they're all pushing in from the same angles. So I feel like worse players may actually, if they don't find an initial kill, just opt to try and save and go for, well, a much better buy in the next round. But they are having a little look around. They're not making any big plays as of yet. As said, they can have all those Molotovs left in play, and Fix is going to find one. And now they found that entry kill. It looks like they are deciding to go for it. However, Taz and Neo are going to find 2 straight back. It's going to be down to the remaining players, and they've left this so very late that Snacks, Taz, just going to finish this one off, and that will be that round that Virtus.pro needed to bring back the money. And I actually would have said I think worse players should have just gone for the save there.
Taz, with the support coming in from Snacks, he was an absolute monster in the way that he remained mobile around the boxes there up on top of the site. Finds that first kill, snaps it to almost pick up the second one, but thankfully Snacks is there to support it, and then just runs away to buy time for Snacks to get into a better position. He picks up 1 more kill, and then the shutdown rolls back in as he's able to get himself that final player back over towards head glitch. So that's going to cause a destabilization of the CT economy once again. They forced up here just because they want to keep that lead strong, and it's going to start off well. Simple finds that first kill. Arch as well has a good angle, and Crush with the assistance from down below is going to be able to help up with this, but they're striking back. They're still trading evenly, and Crush runs into a wall there, and it's one of the members of Virtus.pro, so it's all left into the hands of Philin. A 1v3, and he only has a pistol to work with.
Yeah, I feel like the problems of the last round, once that final Molotov went down, they should have just retreated. But he is going to just try and go for something here. I don't feel like there's really any point just saving a 5-7 on armor. They are going to have to go for an eco in the next round nevertheless. And, well, this is, again, I mentioned it before when they reset the economy, that was the chance of Virtus.pro. They've managed to do it again. 14-11 should go 14-12 unless we see some insane pistol play coming out from worse players. And, well, choke? Possibly? I don't know. It seems like they have really fallen off. Like, they were going for those aggressive plays previously, and that was working for them, and they've almost calmed down a little bit. Like, there was that one round they played passive that worked, but apart from that, those sort of plays really haven't paid off for them.
Yeah, so obviously struggling a little bit here just to close things out for worse players, as their economy was never really in a secure position. They were just doing a really fantastic job with these holds here and battling it back and forth, along with just the hot start they had 5 or 6 rounds in a row at the beginning of the half, with them holding a hefty advantage, but it is being taken away pretty swiftly now. And on this round, they've just gone for a straight-up gambit. As far as their hold is concerned, 5 players stacking on the A-bomb site.
Well, I wonder if Simple's actually brought NA back with him. Is that a possibility? Just bringing the sort of liquid
one more round
style.
away from that.
But, yeah, we're going to be seeing whether or not they can actually make anything of this round. Of course, the idea is just to try and stack the site, and straight away we're going to see Snacks pushing. They are actually pushing into the stack, so there is a possibility for a couple of kills at least. And there we go. Arch going to be finding one. Not going to find much more, and quickly we see Virtus.pro just pounce and destroy the opposition. Only 1 player dropped, and they're going to pick up their AK once more.
The only thing they lose is a MAC-10 in that scenario, which is obviously not a very big loss whatsoever. So Virtus.pro essentially get through that round with the minimal amount dropped that they could have had to work with there. Worst players, though, after going for that uneven buy, still having enough to be able to go for a force up here with 5 M4s in play. All players with armor and a decent amount of utility spread out across the board here as well. So they are not done fighting for the actual victory just as of yet.
No AWP yet, though. So Simple has sort of skipped a little bit because he was finding a lot of nice entry kills actually on the CT, or initial kills, I should say, on the CT side. However, Arch can actually go a little bit aggressive here, and this could be the punish. And there we go. Pasha going to take that entry. And unfortunately, that means, well, now it's going to be a 5 versus 4. And in these scenarios, it does seem to fall apart a little bit for worse players. And of course, this could mean that we're into a 14-14 scenario. However, Fix will quickly trade one back. So that's at least something to calm the storm a little bit. But in the meantime, we see the B push coming in.
It's all this, though. Philin, he's ready to go, but he falls away a little bit too quickly. And Simple kills a lurker in the meantime. But unfortunately, Philin seems like he panicked and tried to retreat himself closer to the site itself. So that's going to lead to his own death. And now the T's get control of the B-bomb site. Crush is here, but he does not want to take a big risk on actually peeking out just as of yet. Catches one of them, getting them very low. That's Bialy now down at 9 HP. And it's going to be a very ballsy push coming out from Simple, but he's still able to hold that back. Shuts him down. Now down to a 3-on-2, but Crush moves in, finds 2 of his own pickups, all falling to Taz. Now they do have the perfect plant position, and Taz can basically just hide here inside of Checkers, but he needs to peek out to stop them from defusing. Finds that first pickup there, and we also see the stop on the defuse coming out from Crush. He's just going to sit here, wait for the peek to come in the other direction. There's a lot of time left on that bomb, however, so Taz can still sit back. Full 10-second defuse as well. Taz trying to make a decision as to when he should go for this peek. Just saw that shot coming out from the other direction, and Crush, he's not even going to try and attempt this anymore. He knows the economy's in a delicate place. He's just going to move out and allow the guys from Virtus.pro to get within 1 round's reach of tying things up again.
That's just Taz in a nutshell. So calm in those situations. Took that initial frag, knew that the other player would, well, just have to pretty much either challenge him or go for the straight defuse. He tried to bait out Taz. That's not going to happen, and he just calmly takes that round. Didn't even have to do anything in the end. So 13-14. The worst players, they need 2 rounds, but now VP, they only need 3.
Indeed. So for the worst players here, similar situation that we saw Virtus.pro in just a few rounds ago. With the Virtus.pro stacked up to the limit with everything they could ever want and desire as far as their buy is concerned. And worst players essentially working with nothing, as Crush has the only rifle for this team, and he's also going to be being aggressive with it too. Now, thankfully, when you look at the positions, he's really not going to find himself in a bad spot anytime soon, but had we seen something similar happen to what we had previously, they could have dropped that gun very early on here, and that could have led to one of them also being eliminated pretty quickly. So Pasha moving in, shuts down Philin. We've already got 2 kills on the board for Virtus.pro.
And the ball, it's just rolling now. They've taken down all the players that had next to nothing. The 2 players with armor are remaining. Archer's going to find 1. May actually be able to recover himself a rifle, which would be great going into the next round. But in the meantime, it's going to come down to Crush. He does have the rifle. He's alone on the site. He will manage to find 1, but that is all she wrote. But Crush, in the meantime, just lurking around, and he's not going to manage to find anything in the end. So I'm not sure challenging this is really worthwhile. I feel like just saving that rifle into the next round, going for that big buy that they need to see. I feel like Simple, well, do they have the cash to get that AWP in the next round? Does look like it might be possible. 3,400 added on. He should be able to get that up. At least someone dropping it to him is possible. And I think over towards that A side has been so crucial, just holding in. And actually, I wonder if we're going to see, tactical pause. So worst players, they do realize that possibly the scenario where they need to reset their mental state is coming in. And hopefully they'll be able to close out this map and take it to Cobblestone.
In all honesty as well, it's sort of just icing things against Virtus.pro since they're on a bit of a hot streak themselves. If they can calm them down by going for this pause, forcing them to wait like another 2 or 3 minutes or so, then that would be a little bit of an advantage in their favor, because clearly Virtus.pro, they found what is needed here. They've been able to finally punch through worst players, just playing things slowly and taking advantage of the fact that the worst players themselves are just going to leave themselves overexposed at the beginning of each round. They can always get a 1 or 2 man advantage, and from that point forward, punish it as they work their way into the site.
Well, and we can actually confirm now that the team who they will be playing, or the loser will be playing, will be SK. They've been 2-0'd, 16-5, 16-5, so it is whoever loses this game will go on to face SK. Obviously, Hellraisers is clearly getting off to a hot start after they did actually lose 3-0 to SK at SIVO, so clearly something has changed. The dynamic has changed since then, but, well, it's not going to be an easy game, whoever does fall down into that lower bracket, although it does look like SK haven't quite got off to the start that they wanted.
I mean, Hellraisers were they were looking good, but I'm pretty sure they did pretty well last week at the minor as well. So they've been stepping things up recently, looking for their own performance. Obviously playing in a lot of events as well, and it's helping with that. Just that consistency, if you get that going, that's like part of the reason why I think too, like a lot of the big European teams, they do so well, is because they're like constantly bouncing from event to event. So they're never really get a break. They're always in the heat of competition here.
Well, that's the scary thing as well about Na'Vi. They have had a nice little break leading up to this one. Going to have possibly some new strategies, although they may not even need them. They are obviously the clear favorite for this tournament. Of the hot
by a pretty long shot now as well.
Well, especially when you look at what's going on. They're probably their main competition at the moment, Virtus.pro, who are, well, I don't want to say it, but they're struggling to beat a tier whatever team. Like, I don't even know what to call this because they're brand new. They're literally like Simple and Co. That seems to be a lot of the problems at the moment. Like Simple is top of the board, although Arch and Fix. Arch has definitely stepped up massively on this CT side. So that is one of the main reasons. But as you said, it's been 5 rounds in a row now. Let's see if they've actually managed to switch things up, whether they have reset and whether they've slowed down the momentum of VP.
Crush has been having a decent amount of impact here too on quite a few of the rounds with some good positioning, and he may look to have it once again in this one as he puts himself in an aggressive spot, pushing his way out there. It'll be Arch that finds the first frag. Fix moving in, tries to take another duel, does not go very well. Biale striking back, Pasha finding another kill and a second for himself, a third for the team as he takes down Phil, leaving only Crush and Simple alive. A nice op shot moving in there. He's going to light Simple up and the switch over to the pistol is going to finish him off. Only Crush up and running at this point. And the guys from Morris Players are about to lose their lead.
Yeah, and Simple, well, I think I heard it anyway. He missed a shot onto Snacks as well, which would pretty much, the second that happened, you give Snacks a chance, he's going to find that kill. And again, he finds the final kill in the round. Map and series point now to Virtus.pro after a huge amount of points. And, well, Simple, he's got to have deja vu here.
Maybe not so much. This one
probably not quite as much on the line in this game. But
if we look at this realistically, this isn't like that huge of a comeback from VP. Like this is still a very solid comeback from these guys and a very respectable one. But it was one that like wasn't the hardest thing in the world to attain.
It was almost
obviously
expected in a way.
Like the LG versus Liquid one was just
insane,
completely out of proportion. Hashtag 15 match points, but that's another story. As the entry is going to come in pretty quickly from Virtus.pro. They want to shut this down. They move in. It's a 1-for-1 trade initially, and in fact, Simple moves in and finds his second pickup on his own there. Takes down Taz. The only real player that's been able to make an impact is now Pasha. And also, he didn't get that intel out for some reason, so Arch is going to get another kill for free. Down to 2, still 3 up and running for Warriors players. A very awkward take from Virtus.pro. It does happen, but now they've got to try and hold this. And Pasha, moving into the smoke, he's got to be extremely careful with the way he plays this off now, as he's going to be directly in the hot seat as soon as this starts to fade. But it was just tossed out. He's got plenty of time to work. Now he's going to push out. But nice response from Simple. Grabs the flick on the Pasha, takes him down, and it all comes into the hands of Neo. He's stuck in a corner. It's not going to pay off. And Philin closes out the round. We're going into OT.
Yeah, what crazy plays coming in there. I have no idea what happened with Arch. Like, I have no idea how he was sat in that corner. Pasha was in quad, and there was nothing there that just a player managed to walk onto the side and go, oh, hey, Pasha, you're not going to tell me he's there? That seemed like a huge mistake from VP.
I honestly don't think he saw him for whatever reason. It didn't even seem like he reacted to him. Like he was just sitting safely back in quad, not even really trying to find a position to take that player down. So either you're correct, it wasn't communicated for whatever reason, or he just didn't see him in the first place. Very, very odd indeed, and that made it a very, very sloppy take.
Well, especially when I think Arch had already found an initial frag as well. So to not know where he was, especially when you've taken over the quad as well, there weren't many positions he could realistically be in, but nevertheless, that is going to be a 15-15. We are going to be going to overtime, and, well, are you surprised? Because I know I am. I'm very surprised.
Definitely, and obviously, Virtus.pro should have had that in their hands. If we would have seen Pasha moving out from quad and finding that kill, that I don't imagine that retake happening. But because of the fact that it's brought down to the 2v3 instead of the even 3v3 there, then things got pretty desperate pretty quickly. So going into OT, I'm trying to remember actually Starlighters rules for OT.
I think it's
I think they're MR3 16K.
MR3 16K, yeah.
Which is a bit more different because the usual overtime rules for anybody who's not like super familiar with CS:GO or doesn't watch a lot. Most tournaments will do an MR3 10K, but there are certain tournaments like this one that do prefer to do with a 16K start. Specifically because if you start with 10K and you go for like a really aggressive CT buy right at the beginning of the overtime half, you can actually basically run out of money by the third round. Some players don't really like the fact that you can run out of money in overtime, so the 16K basically ensures that unless you're like doing something crazy like all 5 players buy auto snipers or something, you're basically not going to run out of money even if you buy very aggressively on that CT side.
Yeah, I'd say I do quite like it, but at the same time I sort of enjoy the punish in a way of when you do lose those 2 rounds in a row, just getting punished for it. Like sort of it brings a little bit of the actual sort of game into the economy of the game, which is something that's huge in CS. That's one of the main factors of it, but it does give a chance for both teams to show their full buys and their full potential on each round.
The main argument against it, though, is that like the Ts can basically do the same buy and they won't run out of money by the third round. Like the usual buys, like the double op buy is what we're talking about here. The CTs can do that, and if they don't win either that round or the round after that, they're basically going to be on pistols for the final round. Whereas the Ts can do a very similar buy and still can have a pretty good force going into the final round. So it's been uneven on the sides, unfortunately, which is why some players prefer the 16K start instead of the 10K start. Yeah,
it's going to be interesting either way. I feel like I'm hoping anyway that worst players with their full buy could actually do this, because the thing is, when they had their big buy, they had the AWP onto Simple, they had all the nades, they had the flashbangs, so able to get themselves back in. They're actually very, very good. It's just that they fell off a bit for a couple of rounds, and unfortunately, in the end, it was like, okay, they got reset, then things just fell apart. They went for a few sort of sketchy buys, and in the end, well, VP managed to get to 15 before them, which I didn't really see coming after how they started.
Yeah, I mean, if anything, Virtus.pro have to be a little bit upset with themselves that they can't close out in that final round, simply because that was one player anchored onto the site that made the difference there at the end of the day, and that would have been the end of it. We would have been done with the set right now, but that's not the case. And now, due to some good performances coming out from Simple mainly, along with actually a pretty good performance from Fix and Arch too, specifically on that second half, those guys really stepping up to make the impact here on the CT side for those players.
Well, Arch especially for me, I feel like there were a few rounds that he just shut down on his own, like especially in the clutch situations and like the quad kill we saw over towards middle. Fix, he's going to be crucial on the T side, because I think he ended up with, was it 16 frags, I think? Yeah. Most of them were entry kills, sometimes 2 entry kills, and we didn't see that too much on Mirage, and if he falls off, I feel like they'll have some real problems. So it is going to be, for me, Fix, especially, obviously Simple is just that sort of name at the very top that you're always going to be saying, oh yeah, Simple needs to perform. It's like, this is Simple's team. It's like, if you base a team around a player and then go, oh yeah, no, that guy doesn't need to perform, that would just be madness. So yeah, of course, we're going to need to see big stuff coming up from Simple, but I really do feel like, well, looking at the opposing team, it's actually Bialy at the top of the board, which, I don't know. I think, well, he's the entry fragger as well, so it's a little bit weird that he's right at the top of the board. You normally expect some of the other players to step up. Pasha right at the bottom at the moment, and, well, considering on his CT side, with the mag, he had some nice kills, and then with the AWP as well, finding some entries, but then just sort of disappeared a little bit, and that mistake right at the end.
If this goes to a third map too, players like Fix are going to be incredibly crucial to the way things go, because oftentimes, I mean, like most of the time, the Cobble maps are going to boil down to how successful your B hits are, especially on gun rounds there, because a lot of what teams will struggle with is actually getting themselves past the platform or getting drop control and then working that out into a site. And that's all entries, right? Because you find like 1 or 2 kills and all of a sudden the site's wide open for your taking. You maybe have like 1 or 2 guys left alive behind the rock outside of CT main or inside a chicken coop, but you can easily just overwhelm them by having 2 or 3 guys push that player. It's always finding that first 1 or 2 kills on platformer and dropper room that actually allows you to get onto the site. That's the issue. And with the good entry power coming in for worse players, if this goes to a map number 3, then that could be something dangerous for them, because the T side, again, does control how things often go on that map.
Well, yeah, it is probably the most T-sided map in the pool at the moment, but I think the main thing for me as well is, I think something that Anders mentions quite a lot is finding information on Cobble as well from the CT side's perspective is something else that's always very interesting, because obviously you can go for those sort of peaks towards middle or the pushes, but most of the time you either have to like jump into the crosshairs of the Ts, or you have to boost yourself somewhere, or you have to do something a little bit overzealous, and in a way, that's what makes the map so T-sided, is the information is very, very difficult to retrieve.
So we should be getting started, guys, with the overtime in just a moment. I believe Simple's team had to use the bathroom, and that is the cause of the delay. So we do apologize for that, but it looks like Virtus.pro should be readied up now. We did have the guys from Worst Players readied up a second ago, so I would imagine we'll jump into it here at any moment.
Yeah, but... well, again, it is Phil right at the bottom of the board, not having as poor a performance. He has had a couple of rounds where you feel like, okay, maybe there was something there, but it always seems like they don't go B for the majority of the rounds, and then when they are, he's always like in transition of positions or something. Like we saw him moving from the checkers area over towards the site at one point and just instantly got caught out just through a smoke or something. It's like, I feel like he has been a little bit unlucky, and if he can sort of step up on that B site, then sure, they could take this. I definitely, like after seeing this map so far, I don't think it's anywhere near this is VP's. Oh yeah, it's definitely VP's map. I just think worse players have come out.
Interesting note here, too, guys, by the way, is that we're not using the usual group format. I believe this is actually just a straight-up double elim bracket that we're being played here. So the loser of this game is going to go down to the lower side of the bracket. We'll have to play off there from that point forward if they want to try and push themselves forward in the tournament. So we are going live now with overtime, and immediately the buys coming out from both sides. No one going to risk it and go for the double op. We're just going to see single ops on both sides, so usual full buys. But very quickly, however, you can see Virtus.pro getting into a position to take control of A main and then move out onto the site. Whereas players have got a read on this, though, and they're ready for a retake.
Yeah, interesting style of play for this. They're actually pushing one player over towards the site now, so Fick's going to be playing up close. As said, he was very, very convincing on that T side. I feel like he did fall off a little bit on CT. We'll see whether or not he can find anything in this round. It's going to be the aggressive push. Bialy going to take him down straight away. Another frag to his ridiculous collection so far. Arch going to be trying to find the trade. Simple, however, will find one, but Taz takes him down in return, and it is going to be a 4 versus 3. A few players are low. Of course, there are nades for the CT side to play with here, but now the afterplant positions are in place for Virtus.pro, and this is going to be very, very difficult to try and retake.
These guys are all boxed out too. Smokes and whatnot cover the site very well, but here comes Phil, and he's just going to push directly in. They've got the spray coming back over from Quad. That's coming up from Taz, mainly. Good damage done, and 1, 2, 3. All the remaining members of Warriors players just get decimated by Pasha, Neo, and Taz, giving Virtus.pro the lead here heading into OT.
Great timing there with the peaks. Every single player just peeked out once. You see Taz actually waiting over towards Quad. Just for the second his teammate peeked, he went straight out and took down the remaining player. So brilliant work there from Virtus.pro. Of course, there are only 2 more rounds left in this first half, so we need quick impacts coming out from the worst players. Simple with the AWP. Didn't really do too much in that round, and actually we saw very, very quickly Fix got overwhelmed on that side.
Taz, again, ready to move himself into the A-bomb site, but just hiding behind the box to make sure there's no aggressive push coming out from the side of Warriors players as of yet. Not going to find it. They're sitting back. They're playing pretty passively with the main exception being Philin. I believe he did try to smoke off the actual vent. Actually, that smoke still works fine, though, so not going to be critiquing that too much, as I believe that connected where he wanted it to. But for the rest of Warriors players, now after starting to lurk a little bit around the map and just playing the default positions, they will start to solidify for mid-control, which they can use to take control of highway and eventually push up to the A-bomb site.
Yeah, 3 players currently on the A-bomb site. They've gone for the boost. Quite a common boost to be used, but it doesn't normally give you the initial kill in the round, unless they check it instantly and take that one-tap headshot. But we are seeing middle control again coming up for VP, something they seem to really enjoy on this map. The unfortunate thing is they haven't actually made a huge amount from it in the past. Of course, Arch normally playing in that position has shut them down on multiple occasions, but it looks like they are going to go again and split towards the A site. We're going to be seeing Simple just waiting over towards middle, trying to find a pick with that AWP, but as of yet, nothing really being spotted, and this still leaves 2 players over towards that B side, and this could be absolutely perfect for VP if they could just go, well, and slaughter the players on the A side. 2 players are there. It's going to be Arch, it's going to be Fix, and they're going to have to make a huge impact, and straight away Fix again, not having a great time on that CT side. He's out of the round. 1 player over towards Fork, going to be trying to find a kill here. He will find one. Simple finds another. Simple actually saving his teammate. What just happened? Somehow, Virtus.pro do manage to capitalize. I think it was just a surprise there, being alive, that caught off the CT player. The bomb going to go down with seconds left, but Pasha, he's going to be alone versus Crush and Phil, and 2 players not at the height of their game. Going to try and find something into this. They're going to be pushing together. We're actually going to see 1 player coming in from behind. So Pasha, he has to be careful here. But it looks like he's getting ready to go aggressive to try and find one of these kills, bring it back to a 1v1, but it's not going to happen. Crush peeks out of the perfect time, and we do see worse players bring one back. That
play with Arch was like absolutely hilarious, because he thinks he's dead, or he kills his opponent there after Simple like saves his life, and he's like, oh, wait, I can still frag. And it seemed like, I forget who it was from Virtus.pro that was standing his way back over there outside of Toxic, but he seemed to think the same thing as both of them just stood there and looked at each other for a few seconds like, oh, we can both kill each other still. So it caused a bit of confusion there. But at the end of the day, worst players bouncing back. Definitely not going to make this a shutdown for Virtus.pro just as of yet, as things remain close at 16 for either team.
Yeah, money going to be absolutely fine, as said, for both teams. So we are going to see 4 buys coming in on either side. As you said, no double AWP setup. The only thing is, for worse players especially, I'm not actually sure who would pick up that secondary AWP. So I don't think we've seen it at all in either of the maps. So that may be just a problem with their team. But anyway, we're going to be seeing Crush going a little bit aggressive to try and find himself a peak. Not finding anything as of yet. Again, it does look like a couple of players lurking over towards the A site. That does seem to be Virtus.pro's favoured site for sure. And it's a little bit worrying, especially the fact that Philin has not been playing particularly well. He is over towards the B site, but we do have a lurker, Bialy, possibly going to try and get an entry over towards that site. Crush currently in the corner, and well, here we go. Bialy now over onto that B site, or getting close anyway, and the bomb still in sort of no man's land. But look at Pasha's position, just gone straight through a smoke, looking for that frag, but I don't think he's going to find anything as of yet till that smoke fades at least.
Starting to see if he can catch anybody on upper first. Not really focusing on the forklift areas until that smoke fades, as you were mentioning previously. Now Arch, he's going to check it, but we still see Pasha winning the opening duel. The problem, though, is that the rest of the team is close to the B-bomb site. The smoke comes in, he's going to try to draw the rotations, wins his second duel, and that should definitely do the job. But no one's rotating off of that B-bomb site, so Crush is going to move in. However, with Pasha getting that much control, we are going to see the players that were originally going for the B hit, they fall away from this, and they're going to try to hit A instead here. Now some more kills coming out for the side of worst players. Simple, along with Crush, picking up 2 of their own, keeps this even down to a 3-on-3.
Looking for these positions now. They are smoked out. The nades are going to be great positions. Actually, almost getting taken down by the nade. Neo doing some nice work. Going to go with a flash, trying to just hold these players off towards Car, and they're all there. He's going to find one more, and he finds the final headshot. 1 tap, and that is feeling out of the round. That guy is probably the unluckiest player at the server at the moment.
It was a 1-tap flick as well. A little of the swipe. Shut it down. Nicely played by Virtus.pro there. Adjusting on the fly after they were trying to just go for a fake. The fake ends up being the main hit, and it's all Pasha that allows them to get into the A-bomb site there on that round. So they keep the lead coming out of the first time in OT1. And again, there's a bit of a heads up for anybody who may not be familiar with the overtime rules. You need 4 out of the 6 rounds in overtime in order to win the match. If you still remain tied at the end of the 6 rounds, the process repeats itself over and over again.
So the magic number, for anybody who doesn't know, is 19, just in case someone couldn't work out the mathematics at this point, or didn't want to. But we are going to see the AUG back in play once more for Neo, so still going with that scoped COD gun. It's going to be Pasha back on the AWP, someone who was finding some nice entry kills, and of course, on the opposing side, we have Simple trying to do the same. But at the moment, it does look like just gathering up over towards that B side at the moment. Only currently 1 player towards that, and it is going to be Pasha, possibly going to go for initial peek to try and find out at least some information, or possibly a kill. But here we go, Villain going to be going in first. The Molotov going to push Pasha out of position. Actually, Neo going to do a little bit of a love bite onto his teammate, but here we go. Philin going to be forward, but what on earth? Neo jumps out with a nade in his hand. Pasha finds one, finds a second, looking for the third, going to Molotov himself into the corner. Will make things a little bit difficult, but he's got that smoke ready in case he does get caught. The bomb site is now belonging to the T side, and they do find another kill with Simple taking off the head of Taz.
Simple is going to miss that shot. He did manage to catch Snacks lurking back from behind him there, but Snacks also as well going to miss the connection. So Simple given a chance to react. Bialik trading that out immediately. Down to a 2-on-2. The bomb has gone down, but both these remaining players are stuck back in checkers right now with no way outside of that. That molly might be enough to finish him off. Posh is going to steal the kill regardless, and now everything falls to Crush. A lot of time has passed though, and again, Virtus.pro is still very passive about the way they're moving into the site. They need to just roll right up on here and try to take him down, but they don't know where he is yet, so we can get one of these for free. There's the first pickup, and he finds the second
what
one.
A play.
So immediately, worst player striking back again. We are not done yet.
Great positional play there. They don't check the back of sight. Unfortunately, Pasha was looking over towards, I think, the CT area in the end. And, well, great play coming out there. Finds both frags and gives his team a chance coming back into this one. 2 rounds needed for either side. Of course, if it goes 18-all, we are going to a second overtime. And again, Neo picking up the AUG. But he seems to be making quite a few mistakes, actually, on the CT side of things.
Virtus.pro here seemingly had that round in the bag, but trade backs come in there from the side of worst players, keeping them in the mix, keeping them very, very close. Being able to tie that round share once again, as they've done now. So from Virtus.pro, just the even split. No mid-control, however, being exercised by these guys, but it seems like it actually shouldn't end up biting them back too badly, as worst players does not really look like they're going to go for mid-control. That could change in a moment, though. If this decision does come into fruition, then now they're going to have to watch out for that. But they've also adjusted Neo over to this position, so he is able to watch out for any boost action that may be coming in, as well as any mid-garage pushes. With Bialdi already picking up that first kill, Virtus.pro have done a good job of holding things back for now.
Yeah, double orb setup as well have come in for now for the CT side with the AUG, so actually triple scope rifles in play. Pasha has gone very, very aggressive, currently holding if they do go towards that B side, but we've seen this happen before, where he's just so far out of play that actually if they do execute, which it does seem like they're going to onto the A side, he may just be too far out of the round. So we'll see whether or not he can actually have any sort of impact. Obviously, if they do rotate, it's possible, but Fick's going to be finding the first kill, looking for the second. Taz will find one, but Crush is going to take him down as well. 3 versus 3. As said, Pasha is quite far away at this point, and, well, Simple going to find one more. It's going to be the Org retake. Never said that before, and it's going to be, well, the AWP still on Pasha, and this is not an ideal situation, to say the least, for Virtus.pro.
Pasha's starting to sneak his way around. He's actually not even going into A main either. He's just going for Squeaky, which is going to severely limit his options as far as what he'll be able to spot here. At the same time, nobody's really watching out for that. Not really giving them anything. The smoke going to cover off the A main angle, and as he pushes out, there's the first pickup. Simple responds to one of his own. Pasha thinking quad is clear. He's pushed right back inside of this one. And with that said, at 12 HP, no way he's pulling out this retake. Time to fall away and save the op.
Yeah, and it looks like we're going to be seeing again. Well, actually, no, this is the first one. This is the first map point coming in for worst players. Of course, these exit kills not really going to hurt their team at all. They're going to have plenty of cash to buy up. They've won both rounds. And yeah, they're not going to be worried as such. Saving the AWP, well, it does give them a little bit of extra cash, but let's see what they're actually able to do here. And worst players now, well, there's a glimmer of cobblestone in the eye of the players. And as said, that was the one way I saw them winning this matchup, was if they could take it to cobblestone. I never really saw them winning both of these initial maps, but clearly, well, there is a weakness on cash at the moment from Virtus.pro, and it's being exploited by Simple & Co. So we're going to be seeing 4 players sort of in a little bubble over towards middle, a couple in B. We're possibly going to go for a boost here, just looking for information, and the rotation already going back towards that A site. Does seem to be that both teams actually do prefer that A hit quite heavily on occasions. But here we go, the flashbang going to be popped in, Bialy going to go through the smoke, and Simple will punish, and that's already the entry kill they need. First kill going, Taz caught, reloading, and now it's going to be down to just a 3 versus 5. This is the nails beginning to be put into the coffin. Crush going to find one more. And it's going to be down to a 4 versus 2. We see 1 kill coming out from Neo. Passion now, 1 versus 3. Taking down the first, so he does make his odds a little bit higher. Looking for the second, he'll miss the shot. And worst players, they take the map.
And with that, now we'll go to a map number 3 on Cobblestone. Amazing play from worst players, and Crush. It's one of those final kills as a mid-air jumping headshot as well.
Pretty insane.
There's definitely some style coming into play there at the end of map number 2, but now things will get extremely dangerous for Virtus.pro, as Cobble should be coming up here very soon. Be sure to stick around for that one, and we'll be back in just a little bit here with more of the Star Ladder Invitational.
Yep, see you in a moment.